Well, Canada's housing minister thinks 2027 could be the year to expand Canada's housing market. He cites success in Australia's housing model in attracting foreign buyers, but would it change real estate law for Canada? Here to talk about what that means for the market and changing real estate laws for home buyers is Joel Fox, COO of Ownright. Joel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's an odd situation. It feels like just more than a year ago, but it just seems like just recently we were talking about too much foreign ownership, and now there's a talk that maybe we want more foreign ownership.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you have a few years of high interest rates and poor performance in the market. You start to see folks wanting to put cash or put fire back into the market. And we just had a month of pretty weak results from Korea in terms of November home sales. And so it's naturally going to spark up the conversation about changing the restrictions on foreign homeowners and home purchasers. So not surprising to see it come in. And, looking forward, I think we'll probably see some other thoughts coming from government and other folks in that realm to think about how we could stoke the market a little bit and get it moving.
Where is foreign ownership right now? What are the regs on it?
Well, there's a restriction on non-residents coming in and purchasing property. And, I'm not the perfect person to speak on that, but really what it means is we're not getting people coming in from outside of Canada purchasing property here. And that was a restriction that was put in place a little while back to support domestic ownership. We saw housing prices soar, particularly in Toronto and Vancouver, and people started to wonder how we could get an end to that. And so the foreign home buyer restriction was one of the mechanisms that was put in place to help curb that growth. And then since then, we've seen interest rates go up, and we have seen the market activity decline, and we are seeing housing prices decline. So again, not surprising to hear that as we look at 2026, the real estate market, not looking overly rosy. 2027, of course, they're going to consider some opportunities to pour fire on the market.
Would that not, the whole idea wasn't to kind of get it under control to offer opportunities for people to actually buy a house. Would this not heat the market up and move it further away from Canadians looking to buy?
That's the ultimate debate. And it's not a simple answer on, whether or not if you open it up to foreign home buyers, if it's going to improve the market and if that's actually beneficial. Because there's still affordability issues. And while we have seen home prices overall come down over the last little while, it doesn't mean that home ownership is affordable for the everyday Canadian. And so I think folks that are looking to get into the market and still feel that it's not affordable for them are going to be frustrated to hear the talk of opening up that foreign home ownership here. However, folks that are in new builds might be excited by that because a lot of activity was driven.
Is that
there.
where a lot of the foreign ownership goes to? Is the new builds? I look at it as an investment.
Absolutely, and yeah, what we've seen over the last year, especially the new build market, particularly the condo market, has really suffered. So again, we want to see investment in Canada. We want to see home ownership increase amongst our people here. But we also want to see investment returns. And so that's where foreign home ownership and investors becomes an option that people think about. But again, you're going to have some people on the argument that feel very strongly that it's the way to go. And then you're going to have your everyday Canadian that's still thinking about how do they get in the market. That's going to be frustrated by a conversation like this.
When there was all the talk of foreign ownership, was it as big an impact as people thought it was?
It's a good question. I think the answer is no. I think the non-resident ownership is actually quite low. And so there's a lot of arguments stating that, really the foreign home ownership and investment wasn't what was driving up prices. And, around the time of that conversation and this ban being put in place, we had extremely low interest rates. So people, both inside of Canada and outside of Canada were investing because cash was cheap. And real estate was absolutely booming. And, there was a bit of FOMO and people were looking to get into the market. Yeah. So whether you're talking foreign investors or domestic investors, I think a lot of that growth in pricing and, what people would say has created this affordability problem came more so from investors, not necessarily foreign investors. However, there's multiple sides to that argument.
And it's a difficult balance because you want to bring houses bring them down to an affordable level, but at the same time, there are people who bought houses, and that's the last thing they want to hear is that their the house they paid 1.2 for is now worth $1.
Exactly. And when you talk about the everyday Canadian, what you're really struggling, or the people that you need to think about in terms of who this impacts, is those that are looking to enter market, and then those that are looking to exit the market. Those that are, buying and selling are going to be less fussed about the exact pricing right now because, they sell and they get to buy back in a similar market. But you have a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines, both from a buying perspective and a selling perspective, that have been waiting for things to get back to normal. And I think there was a lot of expectation going into 2025 that things were going to start to bounce back. Yeah. And, your sellers were going to see some increased prices that they would be able to cash out on, or your buyers would be able to enter the market at, more reasonable interest rates. Everything that's happened south of the border has driven a lot of uncertainty into the market. And that resulted in a pretty weak housing market this year. So again, looking ahead to next year, realizing that, the uncertainty that's driven from south of the border isn't going anywhere, there's naturally going to be a conversation about how we can stoke the market and get things moving.
And if you are getting into the market at this point, whether you have to, whether you want to, whether you don't want to, but you're going to be involved in it, or renewing mortgages, what are you looking at? What should you be looking at? Fixed, variable?
It really comes down to personal comfort and how comfortable you are with risk. So those that I think actually uncertainty is driving a lot of what's happening in the market right now. So the recent interest rate hold, I think we might actually see that drive some confidence into people and maybe take them off the sidelines. And then if you're a buyer, you're still going to look ahead. Look at the broader economic landscape and be a little bit uncertain about what's going to happen. And I think that's going to drive people to fixed. But you're always going to have your risk takers that are going to believe or place their bets on the interest rates going down. And, kudos to those folks. But I do think, the everyday Canadian right now is just left a bit uncertain. And if they're going to be coaxed off the sidelines, I think you're likely going to see those people going fixed because at least that brings some semblance of certainty to them.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up there, but Joel, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
All the best on the holiday season.
Thank you.
And that was Joel Fox, COO of Ownright.